Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something that can kind of help you guys get to know me better as a reader, but I want to do the 20 questions book tag. I feel like this is something I should have done in the beginning of my channel because I feel like it really introduces me as a reader. Will have you guys get to know me a little bit better. I'm not for sure who I can credit to this tag, so if I find who the original creator is, I'll put it in the description. But whoever, if I don't find it, thank you so much for creating this book tag for us readers and us booktubers. Well, I don't know if I can say I'm a booktuber, but this is just a little mid-chaos check-in. And yeah, so I'm excited to dive into this video and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. I do want to say two things. My chair probably squeak a lot, so just know I am not farting. This is my chair. And then also I'm going to be reading a lot of the questions on my phone because I have them saved right here, so if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I'm just reading the questions. But I normally like pre-script a little bit of like what I want to say, not really script, but I kind of reread the questions and kind of have like a semi answer before I start filming. But I'm gonna do everything 100% genuine, just as I read it, based on my total upfront answers. So I don't really remember exactly all the questions that are on here, but I wanted to answer as genuinely as possible and then just kind of see what my true answers are right there, the first thing that pops in my head. So without further ado, let's get started into this video. So question number 1 says, how many books are too many books in a book series? So when it comes to series, I do love series, but anything to me more than like 4 or 5, I feel like that's kind of a lot. I would still read a series. I just feel like sometimes when it comes to book series, I feel like it's a commitment. It's like a TV show. To be honest, I watch more movies than I do TV shows just because it is a huge commitment to kind of keep up with all that. And yeah, so when it's like too many, I still will reach out to them, but I will have to have that mental headspace to know, okay, I have to stay committed to this. I'm gonna read 10 plus books for this world, and yeah, but preferably I think 5 or 6, 4 or 5 actually. Question number 2 says, how do you feel about cliffhangers? Personally, I like cliffhangers. I feel like it makes me so much more like the adrenaline and everything just feels so on edge where I'm excited to read the next one. I feel like cliffhangers are one of my favorites. I preferably like cliffhangers, and that also just means that there's another book coming, so if I do like the book and I do have a cliffhanger, then I'm excited to see what the next book is going to be. So yes, cliffhangers are for me. Hardback or paperback? So this is kind of funny because I actually used to like hardbacks a lot. I am starting to fall back more into paperbacks. I just feel like paperbacks, I don't know, something about, I don't know what it is, but I've been loving like the little imperfections of a book. So when you like buy a used book, I like the feeling of seeing that like little pages are dog-eared, although I know a lot of people cringe for that. I preferably don't dog-ear my books if it's like a new book. I actually don't really like to dog-ear my books. I used to, but not anymore. So I like to keep my books in like the best condition I can, but I do like when I like buy a new used book, I like seeing like the little characteristics of someone once loving it. I also love knowing that a paperback, if I were to get a new paperback for example, and let's just say I gave that book a lot of love, I like seeing like the little love marks I left on that book. So like the little, I try not to crease my spine, but if it is, it just means I was really into that book. And I also love like the feeling of the floppiness of a paperback book. I also love how when you hold it, it can like mold. And like, I love when you get into the middle of a paperback book and it's just like flops out. Like, I don't know if that's like the right saying, but yeah, I don't know. I like that feeling of a floppy paperback. I feel like it's so much more satisfying. Okay, so question number 4 is favorite book. That is so hard because a favorite book, I'm gonna have to say like my safest option is Harry Potter. And if I had to choose a specific one, I would say Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. That was one of my favorites. But I don't know, other than that, that's like a basic, not basic, but that's just like a go-to answer. I want to do something a little bit different. What would be my favorite book? Like a book I would bury with me. So hard. I really don't know. Okay, I can't really think of one right now, but I'm gonna probably say one of the books that kind of got me back into reading that I feel like is such, for me, I don't know, this might be a weird answer, but I think it's going to be A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. I just feel like this is what got me back into reading. Well, actually Harry Potter did and like a bunch of other books, but this was one of them that got me more into like a more fantasy based reading, and I just love the world in this. I feel like if I were to reread a book I would have fun again reading it because a lot does happen. The world is just so different in this. So I'd probably say this is one of my favorite books, but in general, I don't have a favorite book. That is so hard. Like, why? That's such a hard question. Let me see my Goodreads really quick and see what I have read. Or one of my OGs, I've talked about this before, it would be Stolen by Lucy Christopher. I do have the book, but I don't want to go get it right now. But yeah, I think that would be one of my favorites. That was like one of my OG favorites. So I guess I would say Stolen by Lucy Christopher if I had to choose. I do need to reread again because I don't know how I feel about it now. So yeah, that was hard. That was really hard. Question number 5, least favorite book. Oh gosh. Does DNFs count? Because I don't think that would count. Ah, crap. This is kind of hard. I feel like this is really hard. Okay, so if I had to choose one of my least favorite books, I hope I don't get any hate for it. And I can see why some people, I don't want to get any hate for this because I feel like just because a book isn't for me doesn't mean it's not for someone else. Everybody has like their own different preferences. I think that's what's the best thing about being a reader is that we all have different, I just like how different the reading world is. Oh gosh, the lighting. I just love how different the reading world is. And hold on, let me move the light a bit closer because I think it's a little bit too dark. Okay, is that a little bit better? I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. I think when it comes to reading, I like that we're all different. We all like different things about our books and different preferences. I think that's just what's my favorite thing about the reading world is that everybody's just different. And I love that. I love how diverse it is. But just because I don't like a book doesn't mean I'm ever hating or talking crap about it. It's just my own personal opinion and it just didn't fit me. But doesn't mean it won't fit you or won't fit someone else because there's different things that you might see in a book that is beautiful that I unfortunately just couldn't see that. And if I could see what you saw, that'd be amazing. But the book that I'd probably have to say that I felt really disappointed by is this is kind of hard, but okay, it's going to be It Starts With Us by Colleen Hoover. I feel like that book, honestly, I'm gonna be 100% honest because on my channel I do want to be honest about my opinions on books. It was really cool to see the characters again, and it's really cool to get some extra bonus content, but to be honest, I feel like that book wasn't really needed. Not much really happened. I thought something more intense was gonna happen, something more like to hold us on to the story, but it kind of, I felt like it was made and nothing really different happened. To me, I didn't feel like there was any like, oh my gosh, it was just, everything was just constant and it was the same. Like, I don't feel like anything was resolved. I don't feel like like no crazy twist or anything interesting and intriguing, because when I read a book, I like something to be like interesting and to keep my attention and keep me intrigued. And to be honest, I feel like that book was kind of just made just cause. Maybe because the first one was really popular, but I just did not really care for that book. I'd probably say that's like one of my least favorite books. That was kind of hard. These two questions were hard. Love triangles, yes or no? When it comes to book, I don't like love triangles in books because I feel like a lot of times it's done kind of annoyingly, where there's like a character where there's one character you're obviously gonna root for, and then there's a character where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, like you're just kind of in the way. You're like a little fruit fly. Like, please just let the two characters be happy and like live. So preferably, I'm not crazy about love. I do see how love triangles do kind of like make the story much more elaborate, because it makes it more like, oh, like especially when it's done right and you kind of question, oh, I don't know if she should end up with this character or if she should end up with this character, because they're both really good, like to her and like everything. A lot of times I don't really care for love triangles. I feel like they're becoming a little bit too common to the point that you kind of expect it in a lot of books now. But at this very moment, no, I'm not crazy about love triangles in books. Question number 7 is the most recent book you just couldn't finish. Oh gosh, okay, so I'm gonna get so much hate for this. The book that I just could not finish, because I feel like everybody loves this book and I've heard a lot of people like it, but I just could not. I don't know, the more I read it, the more I just could not. Oh, actually I have 2. One of them I actually also couldn't finish because I had to send it back to the library. It was on Libby and it was time for me to return it. But it's Everything I Know About Love, a memoir by Dolly Alderton. To be honest, I liked it, but I feel like it was a little bit too hyped up. I was just confused about a lot of things that were input into this book. Like there was like parts where I didn't know what these parts were for, but it's also a memoir, so I feel like that it was a bad thing because that's based off of someone's life. But I just feel like a lot of parts I was really confused. Like for example, maybe I just didn't see it, so if you guys know why, but there was like a lot of recipes and stuff in the book which had no correlation to certain things, but maybe I didn't correlate it enough. So if you guys know why, but yeah, there was like things in it where I was just kind of like, okay, there was like parts of it where, but yeah, there was a lot of it where there was parts of it where I was a little bit confused on like why it was in there. So yeah, I don't know. But one of my books I could not finish, but one of the books I just could not finish was 1,000 Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. And I don't know, maybe I should just try to give it a try, but I just had to DNF it, I think at like 20%, or maybe I think it was 50%. I just could not get into that book. I felt like the characters kind of annoyed me, and a lot of it was just, it felt a little bit forced and not as genuine for me. But I do want to give it another try because a lot of people who have read it, they said that they cried their eyes out. I'm also not like an easy crier when it comes to books. That was maybe one thing, but I want to maybe give it a try and see how I feel about it, because maybe I just wasn't seeing what everybody else was seeing. Number 8 is a book you're currently reading. So right now I'm currently reading Holly Black, The Wicked King, which is of the Folk Air series, I think that's what it's called, and it's the second book in the series right after The Cruel Prince, and I am enjoying it and loving it so much so far. I'm only 16% in though, so I can't really go too in depth about it, but I love this series so far. I mean, I only read the first book, and so far going into 16% of it, I still love it, and I have been anticipating the second book forever because I've been waiting for it to release on Libby, and so yeah, I'm excited about that. Number 9 is the last book you recommended to someone. So the last book I recommended to one of my friends actually was a couple days ago, and it's Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I just read that book, and the way that the characters were in their friendships, I feel like it was something that I feel like my friend could really relate to, and the way that the characters are developed. So I recommend that book because I love the characters in this book. Like they're so real. Like they literally were real characters. And yeah, I definitely recommended it for her because I feel like she would really enjoy it, because I really enjoyed it as well, and we have kind of like somewhat of the same reading taste. So that was the book I recommended, and I totally recommend it if you haven't read it. 10 is the oldest book you've read, the publication date. I feel like I'm actually taking a long time doing these questions because I'm only at question 10 and there's 10 more. Okay, so the oldest book I've read that is on my Goodreads is Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff, simple ways to keep the little things from taking over your life by Richard Carlson. This book was published in 1997, and so it's not that old, but I guess, yeah, that's the oldest book I have read and put it onto Goodreads. The newest book you've read and the publication date. Let me try and see that real quick. So the newest one is Ambrosia by C.N. Crawford, and that one was published 2023, so this year. And I forgot that was published this year because I was actually waiting for that to come out. 12, favorite author. Ooh, I don't know if I have a favorite author. If I had to say one, I would probably say, who have I read multiple books of? Okay, if I had to choose one, man, I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite author. I don't really have a favorite author, but I can name a couple that I think if I read their other books, I would like it. Scarlett St. Clair, I actually became really fond of her because of her series. Like, I was really anticipating it. There's only certain things I just don't like about some of her books. Like, I don't like how she puts too many steamy parts in it. I literally skip over all the steamy parts because she kind of just puts it in there too much. But I do like her writing style. And as for an author, I would probably say, okay, if I had to choose an answer at this very moment, like there was a gun to my head and it was like, what's your favorite author? I would probably say at this very moment, I've only read one book, so I don't know if this counts, but Kennedy Ryan. I want to read more of her books. I loved her writing style. I loved how she like portrayed the characters. She made it feel like it was from a movie into a book. Like it was just adapted perfectly. Like everything she wrote about it felt so real. Even the jokes were funny. Like sometimes when there's some books and the jokes are in there, they're not as like, they're a little bit corny, but hers felt so genuine and funny. Like it was one of your friends telling you a story. So I'd probably say Kennedy Ryan at this very moment, but I've only read one of her books. But I do want to read more because I fell in love with her writing style. So I would have to say hers. And at this very moment, I'd probably say Holly Black because I really liked her writing style, like her world building in terms of like how she writes her fantasy books. But I've only read one and like 16% of this one of her books, so I can't really go too in depth about it because I don't know about her other books. But to be honest, there's not a lot of authors that I've read like multiple of their books. I try to like change it up sometimes, so that might be why. But yeah, I'd probably say Kennedy Ryan and Holly Black at this very moment. Okay, so 13, book 13 is buying books or borrowing books. To be honest, I'd rather buy books. I don't mind. I love going to the library and borrowing books because it's free, like especially if you borrow it from anybody, but I hate that feeling of knowing, especially when I love the book, I hate knowing that it's not mine anymore. And because sometimes when I read a book, I want it as like a mini trophy, like a little sticker to show that you read that book and you loved it. So I prefer to have my own book, also because I get really paranoid about borrowing people's stuff. Like, what if for some reason I spill a giant cup of coffee on their book? I'm gonna feel so bad, or I'm gonna have to pay money for it because it's a library book. So I prefer to buy my own books. Plus, I like to build my own collection. Number 14 is a book you dislike that everyone else seems to love. Yeah, so I think I kind of already answered that, but to be honest, a book I disliked that everybody loved was, oh, okay, so I might get a lot of hate for this. I just wasn't crazy about this book, but I feel like everybody was obsessed with The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. Maybe I need to reread it again, but when I read it, I just wasn't crazy about it. I think it's just her writing style. I don't know, I didn't feel like it flowed that well for me. I read it though because I really liked how it had a setting of like a biology setting, because I am studying biology, and I feel like that was really cool to kind of like read something with that setting, especially how she had like her headers of like little bio headers and stuff like for the chapters. I feel like that was really cool. But to be honest, I wasn't crazy about that book. I feel like it was really hyped up. Me personally, I just wasn't, when I read it, I was like, this is a book that everybody's obsessed with. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get any hate for it because maybe I just need to read it again. I'm not saying I hated it, but I didn't really like it. I probably would say I mainly disliked it more than I liked it. So yeah, also I wasn't crazy about the characters, like the main protagonist and her friends. I wasn't crazy about it. Bookmarks or dog ears? Bookmarks. I love bookmarks. I feel like they're so fun and they're so fun to collect. And yeah, I love when they like peek out of the book. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of nice. It's like personal, it's more personalized. A book you can always reread, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, or Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. But if I had to choose another book to reread, I would probably reread, I feel like it'd be A Touch of Darkness, the first one by Scarlett St. Clair. What's crazy is I haven't really reread books. I feel like I said, I just try to like keep going with books, so I don't really reread them. But yeah, probably be those two. 17, can you read while hearing music? So if there's music with words, no. I'm those people who I have to read with something with no words. Same thing with studying. I can't just like play music. I can't do it. Although the other day I did play Taylor Swift while I was studying, and not studying, but I was doing my homework, and I didn't mind that. But in general, I can't play things with words whilst reading. I love playing though, like ASMR noises, like rain noises, fireplace noises, and I also love playing like lo-fi or dark academia piano or classical piano, just stuff like that. As long as it has no words, I'm fine. But if there's any words, I cannot play like actual music while reading. 18 is one POV or multiple POVs. To be honest, I like one POV more. I don't know why. I like multiple POVs as long as it's up to 2 POVs. When there's like too many, like more than 2, then I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit sidetracked. But I like having 2 because it's kind of cool seeing the perception of an interaction from one character to the other character, because sometimes what you see from one character is totally different from the other, and it helps you understand like the miscommunication a little bit better. So yeah, I would definitely say multiple if it counts as 2 POVs. More than 2, no. It's too much for me. I get lost and sidetracked. Question 19 is, do you read a book in one sitting or multiple days? Multiple days. I am a mom and I'm also a student at university, which I should be finishing soon. Hopefully, I'm like literally keeping my fingers crossed and praying. But yeah, I don't really have time to just sit down and do one whole sitting. So a lot of times it'll take me about maybe 3 to 4 days if I stay consistent, to about a week. Sometimes a little bit longer too, depending. But a lot of times that's like a rough thing. And question 20 is, who do you tag? I think I'm just gonna tag, I'll put who I tag in the descriptions below, because at this very moment I can't think about who I want to tag. But because I want to see if they've done the tag already, because this is an older tag. but I will put who I tag in the description below. But just because I don't tag you, if you have any questions like you want to answer in the comments, feel free to do that, because I feel like it's really cool to just have like, it's like a little book club to see like what you like as a reader, and I feel like that's really cool. So like that's why I kind of chose this tag, because it's really cool seeing just different things about every reader, not just myself, but how other readers, like what they choose, like if they like paperback or hardback, and if they like multiple POVs or one POV, or if they like love triangles or not. I feel like that's really cool to hear different opinions, and I like looking into that. I like seeing like different answers. So yeah, if you guys are wanting to, just feel free to put your answers in the comments as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I actually had so much fun doing this tag. It was a really lengthy tag. I didn't realize like 20 questions was kind of a lot, but it was fun, and I feel like it was really in depth and got down to like the grain of me as a reader, and for you guys to understand me a little bit better. But yeah, I had so much fun doing like another formal sit down video. It's been a minute, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.